evening, wherever that you are watching us from. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Inspired for Success. And today, actually, when I woke up in the morning, it's right now, it is 10 a.m. in Kenya, Africa. So when I woke up in the morning, I came across some very important news that was actually talking about why there is an increase in young Africans who are actually trying to immigrate to other continents of the world, more specifically Europe. And a large number of these Africans that were willing to actually immigrate or who are on the process of immigrating were actually coming from mostly the West Africa, but distributed evenly all over Africa. So this brought up this question that why are the young Africans who are seen as the future of African continent, why are they aggressively trying to run away from Africa? So that is a very important question, and that is what actually we are going to discuss today. So you can actually join us in the discussion through the comment section, and if you have a question or a point to raise, you can actually pin it on the comment section and I'm going to read it. So my first from research, I think my first reason I think which is valid is most young people are actually trying to immigrate because they are looking for opportunities which are not available right here in our continent. For instance, if I can take a country like Nigeria, you will realize that in Nigeria there is political instability. You know, the moment there is political instability, it means that the government might not be able to accomplish its goals or objectives or even the manifesto that actually need to be looked up to, so that once they are addressed, then young people will actually admire their continent. So if we might start with the first reason, which is political instability, you'll find that one of the minor elements that contribute to instability in a country is the moment you see a politician practicing what we call nepotism. Nepotism is whereby actually they employ on the basis of their culture or tribe. You will find that young Africans who have actually worked so hard and gone through education, qualified to join universities and graduated with good courses, when it comes to employment, they are not equally given an opportunity. You'll find that most jobs are actually advertised just as a formality. You know, there is no fairness in recruitment or employment. So these young people feel betrayed. And also those who get lucky and they get recruited or employed, they are not given a wage that they deserve, you know. The minimum wage in Africa is not very attractive. In fact, for someone who is employed in Africa, they might find it difficult to progress economically or even sustainably to progress as compared to that person who is actually self-employed. So in Africa, you'll find that a government worker is actually having a very difficult life as compared to the other person who is not employed or who is employed by the private sector. So this demotivates these young employees. these young Africans. So you'll find that a nurse in an African hospital is paid way below as compared to a nurse who works in Canada or the United States of America. Yes, we understand the economy between the two continents is different, but at least such category of workers in our country should be taken care of in a good way, because they serve a very important part in our society. So this discourages people like nurses who actually try to apply for jobs that are maybe in the US or Canada, where they are going to get triple of what they were earning in Africa. And then if you look overall, the economy is doing very well, they are taken care of. So all these factors, they all fall under political instability. So when our politicians sit down and discuss and elaborate on these issues, then you will find that the work environment for our graduates will be conducive, and this will encourage them to actually remain back in our continent. And also for those who are in the foreign countries, they will also consider relocating back to Africa. Another reason that I found out was in search of greener pastures. You'll find that young people have actually spent more time on social media and the TV. So what is being broadcasted out there about other continents such as Europe or America shows you a fairy tale of a beautiful place, a place that everyone would admire. But if you look back and compare with our media here in Africa, whatever they are showcasing gives you a bad picture of Africa. You will see violence, you will see corruption, you will see breaking news that is on the negative angle all the time. So this at the end creates a picture in the mind of these young people as they are growing up, that indeed the other side is much greener as compared to where I am. So these young people are actually growing up with the mentality or a mindset that one day I want to be on the other side. But due to the processes of immigration, they might not afford or qualify for that. And this forces them to find an alternative. This is where you find that young people consider going through the Sahara Desert all the way to Libya, and that is where they actually cross the ocean to the other side of Europe, more specifically Italy and Spain. But what amazes me is that they don't stop at Italy and Spain. The journey still continues all the way to places like Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, but more specifically Germany. So if this continues, Africa is going to lose years and years of investment in the skills of young people. We might see it as a very small issue and ignore, but on the long run, imagine every year a small country like maybe Rwanda or Burundi losing 1,000 doctors. It means that country will not be able to sufficiently sustain itself on the health sector, because hiring a human resource on the healthcare sector from outside might prove to be very expensive. So African leaders should think deeply, conclusively, and decisively, and come up with solutions that are going to permanently tackle these challenges that young people are facing. Remember that based on the most recent statistics, we know that Africa's population is majorly occupied by the young people. 2/3 of Africa right now is under the age of 30 years. That tells you that we are in a generation where the older people are actually a few in numbers, the young people are large in numbers, but most jobs are occupied by the older generation, and there are no new additional jobs that will be occupied by these young people. So that will create a bottleneck whereby we have a very huge object that is trying to pass through a very small space. We have a huge number of young people who are actually trying to secure minimum jobs that are available. So these are the issues that African leaders should actually spend more time on tackling. Tackle employment issues. Once you tackle employment, then these young people will be economically empowered to actually create other jobs for other people back in their communities. So, in what ways can the government try to create employment for these young people? Number one, it can start with tax subsidy. This is whereby you can create a tax formula that actually exempts startups or young people who are coming up with new companies so that they can enjoy taxation freedom while they are importing maybe spare parts, second-hand clothes, equipment and machineries for their small businesses. This will encourage them to grow. And also when it comes to paying for permits to actually perform their duties in their jobs, the government should give them a tax exemption period, maybe for the first 2 years of setting up a business. I've seen this work in other countries such as Australia and the United Kingdom, whereby during an economic crisis period, actually the government steps up and supports small businesses. But in Africa, you'll find that even before starting a small business, already the initial investment cost scares someone, and this discourages them from not even attempting to start their businesses. So these are the issues that Africa should actually try and tackle. On the comment section, before you comment, kindly pause there, share this video so that everyone can enjoy. And if you have a question, pin it on the comment section so that we may continue this live discussion on why African young people are immigrating from Africa and what can we do to ensure that we retain our talent, and besides retaining, we give them a good, decent income. Thank you for joining this stream and see you on part 2.